princess, the palace is on fire. Follow me. Get it on, girl. The galaxy cannot wait, and we are only two who may save it.
Know the rancor, know the rancor.
We hold no quarter. We give no quarter. Of space we've ever taken. Yes, for one, we didn't take it. Rather, it took us. Howdy, the imagery. Nibirans of the old world, animals extinct. Since the ancient planetary collision? The same images all over the castle aisle, particularly the ceremony building. This was very different from mere stone artifice. Everything looked more in reality. The ancient Valmaxians. Are you trying to tell me my family used to be... Yes, Carmen. In ancient times, your family was black. Also, in case you haven't already figured this out, Kurzakur is a Valmaxian branch family. How could such a case be made without evidence? Any comparison of DNA samples will confirm. Therefore, written records from the past are unnecessary. Howdy. Where are we, and why are we here? Close your eyes and view through the red bead in the mind's eye. Do you see it now? No, it cannot be. Carmen, can you conjoin a verbal which incorporates geometry and flying shit? Double exponential fan blade schist? I would have to call this the worst day of my life. I would call it fascinating. Batch. I fucking would. I would kill you now if I didn't believe. I would lose the gamble. As of this moment, the Regency is ended. You may address me as Queen Nika, or Your Grace. In so announcing, cousin, you are a disloyal member of the Valmaxian household. Cousin, you abdicated and may not be queen. and now you announce your criminal intent before witnesses. Where art thou loyalty to House Valmaxian and our institutions? Cousin, is it dissolved in a fit of rage? Cousin, a disloyal subject may not be permitted. Oh, shit. Don't push it further. Making this clear, I will be the first touch to testify. Mika went mad and gave the princess no choice. The pendant of Silot is troubling piece of magic or ancient technology. No one may tell. When I received the pendant with the words from Catherine Plantagenet, I pass this to you freely, as you are the safeguard for keeping Nibiru under our rule. It was instead just the latest in a list of astonishing events in my life. My uncle, King Jartel X, hated my father and extended the same treatment to me. Princess Royale Mika labored me as a castle servant, working mainly in the kitchen. When Mika abdicated the golden Nibiran throne, she no longer wore the medallion. It was worn by her lover, Catherine Plantagenet, from the earth. Both had saved the life of the other, but my cousin's injuries required a heart transplant, which was performed by my stepmom, Tabard Searist. The possibility of dying on the earth was felt acutely by the recently coordinated Queen Mika, and she passed the pendant to Queen Catherine of the British Empire. Catherine was a potent bearer of the human Kinesia gene by way of an ancestral fairy crossing, and thus well suited for an amulet that would spell death for most humans of the earth. The heart transplanted to Mika was obtained from a giantess, freshly woke from a 12,000-year cryogenic sleep, and one of a primitive variety. Upon return home, Mika learned she had no more than 5 years to abide, thus leaving the fresh queen bewildered and uncertain. Mika had 2 great embargoes within her life. She refused to believe she was a half-giantess, and that she was Sapphire. The latter denial broke with her and Catherine falling in love. During this time, an advanced being within the cosmos visited the couple, faced with just 5 years to live, and 2 with decent health in the best-case scenarios. Soon after Mika's return to Valmaxian Palace, the Queen meets me during my morning kitchen duties. She pulls me aside and demands of me to set the best example for the other servants, and that it's my last day on the service staff. Oh boy. After the meal, with my father, his future wife Agent Tabard, and Catherine attending, Mika announces my entry into a regency to be queen, all without ceremony or public announcement. Unaware of the circumstances, I didn't believe a word of it. Mika could be slipping, but more likely she was lying. Don't try playing me for a fool. In the end, Catherine awarded me the pendant mere moments after a giant tree shot up through the ground. The tree was Mika, who had just traveled through the interdimensional waterway to Aeneas Valley on the Earth and transmuted during the return trek. It strikes my amusement that with all of the advanced species donning this medal over eons, I am likely the only one who wore it, while prior recipients were still living. An artifact like this was worn for life, and by one of great importance and stature. Overall, I didn't hear much from Mika or Catherine while wearing the pendant, as they were alive in some form or another. It was Silot with whom I stayed in constant contact, as I was her bestie's daughter, at least, I guess. She took an interest in guiding and chiding me. Silot didn't trust Mika to do the right thing always, and oft accused her as daddy's girl. I was unawares when Mika stripped me of my power, but as it turned out, Silot had made special preparations in the event Mika tried ending the regency and sitting back atop the golden throne. On Nibiru you may not restore after abdication, as this is an act of war upon your peoples. As a result, not everything was lost when Mika stripped away the medallion. Silot left within my being a minute and indiscernible portion of Kinesia for getting myself back in. The more wondrous enchantment was bound to my cello, which opened the greatest passageway into the medallion's power. I wasted no time in picking up the bow and drawing forth the enchantment. There was an aspect of the pendant of which Mika and Catherine were unawares. The simple explanation is much more than the power and minds of the last 3 wearers. It also housed residuals from every being who wore it. The best way to convey the amount of time involved is to state millions of aeonic years. 1 aeonic year equals 3,300 annual years. So even if the beings had very long lives, quite a number are in attendance now. The pendant of Silet was worn chiefly by females of an advanced species now departed. We designate them directly as a Type 8 species in civilization. We know few details of them, but a few particulars, the first being their 640-strand DNA coding. Compare that to 12 for Nibiruans, and 2 for the humans of the Earth. They also created the singular Type 7 to govern everything below. This is the entity referred to as God or Jehoshaphat. It rarely speaks, has no gender, and does little but gaze and wait. Many of the most inquisitive humans of the Earth may begin to wonder what is so significant about Nibiru and the solar system, laying out of the fringes of this galaxy. What the lineage of the Earth must come to terms with is that never have you ever been alone, and that my planet and our shared day star are the homeworld to the Type 8 civilizations. Part of this coming to terms will entail the exploration of a large scattering present throughout the solar system, including the Earth. It is all here for us to rediscover, despite the lies your governments and other elites tell you. At some point, the Type 8 discovered that Nibiru was on a collision course with a young gas giant. This body was roughly the same age as the Earth, which at this time was void and without proper form. The people of Nibiru went right to work, hoping to stall future calamities. These ancients picked a lunar body surrounding the gas giant to set up base. It was an odd thing, with red sands, plentiful waters, and a sub-lunar body regulating its rotation. Most importantly, it was habitable. Here it may be pointed out that in the seasons following, my people came into existence, as we were created at this time for slave labor. The pendant of Silet remains aptly named, even if it was something else altogether. I never got the medallion back, in part because there was no need. Playing the cello, I used the tiny portion of real power bequeathed to me by Silet, and drew forth everything in the pendant but the 2 items, which Silet held back. I received all the residuals, the power of the 3 wearers before me, Silet's psyche, and the psyche of an additional Nibiruan who never wore the charm. When Silet crashed the transport, she had time to take my mum's mind with, as she followed Sheba and Rindra in death. That is my secret, and you are only reading this now because I have passed. Silet held back the psyches of Mika and Catherine, and used them as a catalyst with which to destroy the medallion. This was the cause of the palace fire, which chased my heels and reached the Orion System. It sometimes occurs to me to wonder, did Mika blame it all on me, and was unaware that her deceased mum was running the show? Was she even aware that copies of her and Catherine's psyches were the only thing residing in the pendant's wreckage? Stepmom has noticed something as of late. It was startling to learn, as I was ultimately unawares. It seems I have now a growing ability to change my appearance at will. I must gain control of this art, as doing so without knowing is unacceptable. This is not what I wish to become known for. Okay, personal problems entry. Since absorbing the power of the pendant, I have been aging backwards. My DNA is expanding exponentially, and I'm not really a Nibiruan anymore. This morning I awoke and found myself bereft of any signs of maturity. Come on, I'm almost 18 and now back to pre-adolescence. Help, Silet, I don't want to relive the toddler stage. And besides, this smacks of an autoimmune crisis. Also, why is Audi aging fast, putting on weight? And why won't she talk to me about it?
Carmen, what do you think of Orion?
Like the royal household?
This park is a pleasant contrast.
Most of it isn't real, machinery with electronic composures. All I may say today is, thank God for Silet. I will grow backwards only another week or so. The residual powers I absorbed must take me back to childhood and remake my circuits so that I may handle all the force with greater ease. Then I may sneeze in the summer without provoking a snowstorm. I spoke at length with Audi today. She looked awful and complained of feeling like a cow would appear to us. She was born of an experiment by the Type 5 species, who sought to simulate the departed aforementioned apes. Every one of these experiments I have encountered has some terrible flaw. Most abused their kinesia and became hard and cold. Addie was different, though. She's not a pacifist, mind you, but she knows when power must come to bear, though usually it does not. This is due entirely due to her negotiation skills and keen capacity to match wits with an adversary. When it comes down to Audi being a genuine and nice girl with no desire to kill anything, though I will say, I got her off that terrible vegan diet. Carmen, a family is relaxing on the other bank. Why don't you whip up an illusory spectacle for them? We have promised our best, and it would be rude. One or more of them could be startled. Pee their britches. I honestly don't know what I am to do about my best and only friend. Audi is but 16 years, but appears near 40. At the beginning of our mission to capture the war witch, she looked like a little girl with a tornado strength of reserve kinesia. I've fallen to tears because, judging no self-pity on her part, I accepted Audi's tender of resignation this forenoon. So you are of the opinion that the Orions rely too much on technology? It reminds me of what Nibiru and the Earth could become if we aren't diligent in the spread of kinesia. Oh, Inalius Thurin Randir is stopping by to talk with Audi and me, and has expressed his will to help any way he can. So, dear diary, I shall return later to document my notes. Psst, Carmen. 2 Orion men are playing with swords down there. Why don't you whip up a funny display for them? A dragon, perhaps? Mum, I am shocked. We promised the Orions our best, so no. Besides, I don't want to scare anyone. And they pee their britches or something. I tried twice and you refused each time. Thank you, and I love you.